Welcome back to the channel. If you're a regular viewer, this is the same day as the last episode where I dropped my car off for its MOT, and sure enough, it failed. No surprise to anybody there. What did it fail on? Well, this is the bit I'm quite pleased about. Nothing I don't think I can fix. Relatively quickly, I hope. You know, I've said this, I've cursed myself now. I'm sure some of these things are going to prove to be much harder than I thought. But let's go through the major defects first of all, and I'll tell you what I've got to work on tomorrow, and tomorrow being in this video for you. Major defects. Anti-lock braking system warning lamp indicates an ABS fault. I thought this was the old ASC lamp, which isn't a fail if it's indicated, but actually I wasn't looking carefully enough. Actually, the ABS lamp's on. I suspect this comes down to me mucking around with the wiring and the bonnet. I may have not replaced an earth or something. Maybe just needs resetting, but we shall see. But that's the one that probably needs the most investigation in order to determine what's wrong. Horn not working. This is almost certainly just a missing earth. I'm fairly sure that'll be quite a simple fix, because I know that I plugged it all back in again. I just clearly haven't re-established the earth, and there are a bunch of earth cables that I haven't reconnected. Sometimes on the BMW wiring, things are routed through weird other things. So yesterday at the last minute, I caught the windscreen wipers only working on maximum speed, and thanks to the guys on the Z Roadster forum, Mr. Scalex, I think it was, who caught this. It was the earth which routes through a little blanking plug and didn't seem to go anywhere, so I didn't reconnect. But actually the earth for the windscreen wiper motor goes through the headlight washers, which aren't on my car, so therefore that wiring was deleted. So sorted that one out. Third point, supplementary restraint system warning lamp indicates a fault. This is the airbag warning light that I mentioned on the way there in the video. Potentially that just needs resetting because I've done something without removing the battery, or not refitted something before refitting the battery. All sorts of potential there that could have caused that. So I'll try resetting it. If that doesn't work, then we start to trace other things. It may be related to the ABS fault. And so, yeah, maybe do the ABS fault first and then try resetting. Fourth thing, wheel bearing has excessive play near side front. Nothing I can do about resetting that. I don't think it's adjustable, and new parts aren't wildly expensive. I'm sorry, Stretton. I know you don't watch this, but I wish you did. It's not an OEM part. It's a cheap and cheerful part, so I do apologise. I'll put some better quality ones in at some point, but I'll do that when I'm refurbishing both front hubs, putting bigger calipers on, and then I'll put OEM bits on and make it all nice and long life. For now, it's just about getting through the MOT. Excuse me while I cough. Fifth issue. Bonnet primary retaining device ineffective. What this means is that the piece of string I had for the bonnet release came off in the MOT tester's hand. So I shall have to put something a bit more robust in, maybe a bit of wire with a 3D printed knob on the end or something, so that doesn't happen again. And finally, headlamp aim too high. I knew this was going to be an issue. I've got no real way of testing it, and they have offered to sort this out for me. But I will at least try and get it a bit closer. I'll stick a piece of cardboard or something in front of the lights and just trim them both down so they look roughly equal, and then they can finish it up. I can at least make sure that there is enough adjustment in there to get them, roughly where they should be before we go back. So it is now the same day as you saw the last video. It's coming up to evening. It's just 5:05. I've already picked up the wheel bearing, so that's ready to go. I might jump into my scruffs now and do a little bit, but probably I think I'm going to take as much of tomorrow off as I can and try and get all this stuff working and get it back in for an MOT the day after, because I really want to be driving this. And also the insurance is running out on my combustion engine car, and I really want to be able to get that into storage before it does. So yeah, race to the finish basically, and I'll bring you along for the ride. So throwing some denim down my neck. Got straight into diagnosis. First problem was actually getting the bonnet open. This one was wedged. It's probably why the guy at the MOT station broke the piece of string that was pulling on this, because this one was completely wedged. So I've cleaned it a bit and greased it. I'm hoping that doesn't happen again. Put can't rule it out because I'm not entirely sure what caused it. In the meantime, I've been trying to work out what's going on with the horn. I did this entirely the wrong way around. I assumed it was something to do with the bundle of old wires that I'd stripped out. So pulled all my neat wrapping off them, pulled them out, only to find it was absolutely nothing to do with that whatsoever. So then I actually did things properly, took the connectors off, rigged them up to ground and the multimeter, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Try and focus you on the multimeter. When I press the horn, the relay fires just fine, and there is 12 volts at the connectors. So somehow, in the year it's been off the road, both of these horns have failed, which is kind of bonkers. Now I do have spares, but I don't have spares of original BMW horns. I have spares of two that I found in a skip that looked to be brand new. But obviously they have different connectors. So, in the interest of efficiency, rather than waiting for new horns to turn up, do I lop these connectors off and bodge in some new ones? Or do I try and stick to the original one so it's easier to replace parts? Well, it's pretty clear what's wrong with that one. If I can get this to focus. That's dead. So we can put that one in the bin. But I took the other one off as well. It looks slightly better. It's not in great shape, so I will order a replacement. But it looked good enough. I couldn't work out what was wrong with that. Sure enough, little clean up. Put that one on the other connector, and I've lost the keys. Here we go. I'd say that's working. So it's one rather than two, but it's a working horn, so it'll do. So I'll stick this one back on. I'll order a pair of new horns, and that's one thing ticked off. "24 hours later, lots of work done this morning, lots of calls. It's been raining all morning, it's finally stopped, I've done my work. Time to sort out this wheel bearing. I think the garage put the wheel bolts back on properly. Huh. Okay, I am no expert, but that seems absolutely fine to me. There's no play in it. A little bit side to side, maybe. I mean, maybe it's worth swapping anyway, but since I've got the part. But there doesn't seem to be much wrong with that to me. Here we go, so input up and running, connected to my OBD cable into the odd BMW connector. And as you can see, error memory has been cleared. I've just sorted out the airbag lights. And we can just go around here now. We can see that the airbag light is off. Still got some other ones to sort out. But that's one more thing ticked off. Now we've got to work out what's wrong with the ABS. And that might prove a little trickier. Here we go, into the diagnostics for the ABS. I'll cut this out if I already said it, but it took me a while to get into this because I completely forgot you have to manually set the COM port in the obd.ini file when you're using INPA on Windows. And I totally forgot to do that, so I thought it was all not working and I was going to have to find some way to stick an ECU in. But actually it's all fine. So my broken German tells me that, well, obviously this one's pretty straightforward, CAN bus error. It's not hearing any CAN bus from the ECU, obviously, because there is no ECU. And then here, Drehzahlfühler, sorry to my wife who speaks German, but basically hinten, so that's back left trigger signal. Basically it's getting nothing from the rear ABS sensors. Now it may be that they're knackered, one possibility, given that that back axle was on the floor of my workshop for a long time. It may be that there's just no connection. Or rather, the system was turned on when there was no connection. So we can just try clearing that and then spinning the wheels and see if it comes back. So I've cleared the memory and we've still got Drehzahlfühler hinten rechts trigger signal. So still no rear right wheel sensor. Let's double check the connections on that, clear it again and see what happens. So, clear the sensors, spun the wheels, still same error, the rear right sensor. So, car's now fully up on jack stands. We come around here. Oh. This is the connector for it, which I've detached. Goes into one of these, which are not in great shape, as you can tell. So it's entirely possible that it's a wiring issue. I'll pull the wiring round and see if I can do a continuity check. But yeah, none of it's in great shape. It's all just wrapped in frickin' insulating tape, which isn't ideal. From this grommet up here, yeah, none of it's in great shape, so rewrapping that wouldn't be a bad idea. But yeah, then the sensor, if you can see it, is there. I think it's just an Allen key. No, that's not the sensor. Sensor is, where is it? There. Can't see it, but that's my finger tapping on the Allen key that I think, Allen bolt that I think holds it in. So I will see if I can pull that out, see if we can get a replacement. Given what a pain in the arse these can famously be to get out, that actually wasn't too bad. Bit of WD-40, a few taps with my persuader, gentle persuader, and a little bit of leverage, and it popped out. As you can tell, it's pretty filthy. It's no surprise it's not working really. Some people on the forums have had some luck just tidying these up and sticking them back in. I've got a new one on the way, but if I can get it working with this one, it's worth a try, so I'll give it a clean up and we'll give it a shot. Well, this is interesting. Cleared the errors, and it came back with Unbekannter Fehlerort, which, and I've had to look this up because I've got no idea what that means, although you sort of guess at Unbekannter, but yeah, I think it's kind of unknown error. So I'm going to clear that. Read again, what do we get? Same thing, unknown error, which is weird. I try starting and stopping the car and spinning the wheels and see what errors we get then. Well, there we go. Still got that right sensor error. The unknown error has gone away. We've got the CAN bus error, which we're going to get until I work out how to spoof that. Oh God, yeah, how am I going to do that when I put my car in storage? That's a good question. So, that is where we're at. Need to replace that sensor tomorrow. Just tidying up under here now that most of the stuff under here is done. Obviously you still need to plug into the diagnostic port tomorrow once I've changed the rear wheel speed sensor. Minor little tweak to avoid strings breaking off. I've replaced the string with a piece of wire and a little 3D printed pull. It's not the final answer. I want to create a backing plate to support this and some extra springs so it's held tightly in place. And it can be pulled out, but it's not bad. It's better than it was. It's a step forward, and that's always the goal. On to what I thought would be one of the simple jobs. It's now a day later. Adjusting the headlamps. There is a lot of adjustment in them, but as you can see, the back of the headlamp actually fouls the fiberglass behind it. I hadn't cut this out because I wanted it to be nice and dark. I was going to paint all that black, and so you just see the headlight with a black background or body colour, but probably black to match this frame, which I'm going to get repowder coated at some point. But yeah, that's not possible because you can't adjust it because the back touch there, and frankly actually it probably needs a bit more air for cooling. So I'm going to mark this out, take the rings out, get my PPE on and just cut this out and then put them back so they can be adjusted. I did actually 3D print some spacers to go in here and put some longer bolts in, but then it's going to foul the cowling if I put one on, so not an option. So cutting it is. That's a rough cut done with a hole saw. I need to go around and tidy it up. That's where I've got to with the cut-off wheel. Now to tidy it up with sanding, well, a few different Dremel tools basically. That's one pass with this. This is the Permagrip Tools head that I picked up at the kit car show a while back. Maybe the classic car show. Oh, not sure which, losing my glasses. So now go around with the flap wheel and get it nice and tidy. What you'll notice is that the holders, the frames, aren't sided. They're the same. There we go. Holes tidied up. Not the roundest of holes, but not bad. I know the light's not great. I don't think it'll be hidden anyway, and there's still, as you can tell, I've still got a lot of sanding and prep to do from all the filling I had to do when I got the holes wrong the first time around. So it's not like I won't be coming back to this. Good enough for MOT, that's the thing today. So let's get the lights back on, see if we can adjust them okay. There we go. Again, I don't know how well you can see that with the light. I did realise I didn't have enough matching mounting hardware, and I still don't really. These aren't ideal, but they'll do for now. They at least match. Probably got some filling to do here. This is from before. I can fill those little gaps in around the outside. So there's just the hole in the middle. But again, that'll come when we get to the cosmetics. There we go, headlights in and vaguely adjusted. A lot more scope to move them up and down now. And actually I quite like the steel bolts in there. Look pretty decent. I probably will go back to the black ones once I've tidied it all up. Like I say, these frames are very cheap, so I'll probably either get them powder coated and get some new hardware that doesn't rust in 5 minutes flat, or buy some better quality ones at some point. I do want to get some cowls in here. I think they look cool. Parts due to arrive at, well, between 3:30 and 6:30 this evening, so yeah, could be working late. We shall see. I shall, I'm slightly annoyed because I suspect actually there's nothing wrong with that, front wheel bearing. I suspect it was just the loose wheel bolts. But, you know, started so I'll finish. Fingers crossed that things arrive the earlier part of that 3:30 to 6:30, and I've got a chance to get it all done before the family get home. They've been away for a week, and then yeah, I'll get it booked in for MOT tomorrow.